Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Spincast episode 4. It's an amazing time right now. Trademark amazing, right? I'm your host, Brian Kellison. I have Lisa Reese with me and Brian White back from surgery, or a week away from surgery. Before we get into the show, I want to give a huge shout out to one of the community members, Felty Aku from Finland. Is a new dad. He and his
No, congratulations.
his wife.
Yeah, congratulations, Felty.
Yeah, I have a baby boy. I don't know any other details. He just posted a photo of the baby on the scale. It looked like a boy with all the parts showing. So we just want to give him big congratulations on that. A big fan of the show. He's always sending me little notes. So big shout out to Felty. And to the healthy baby boy and the wonderful parents. So, kicking it off, we're going to just talk about some topics off the tops of our heads, and then we're going to get into the Echelon Racing League because it starts next weekend. Brian brought this up just recently, like probably 3 or 4 minutes ago. The dual recording potential for the future of the sport across, let's say, all platforms, but especially Zwift. And Brian, why don't you just set it up for us?
Yeah, so I was watching another stream, and this guy's a high-level racer in kind of inside information guy too, and he was saying that he just said, I feel that dual recording and that verification is coming to the standard of Zwift. So he didn't specify, but I assume he means like the AA plus level. So like, that elite competitive style of racing, and which is a good thing. I just wish it would be native within, Zwift. And this is also going to kind of tie into later on. I went earlier, opened up IndyVelo. They have dual recording native inside of it. We know what the Zada test is within Zwift. I spent 5 minutes. Look, I can't find anywhere of like a verification test. So maybe I'm just oblivious. I overlooked it. Maybe George and Bjorn from IndyVelo have to send you, hey, do this. But like, I know I have 8,200 kilometers on IndyVelo.
Yeah.
So they have a huge pocket of information about me on IndyVelo. So say, if you're going to do it through IndyVelo, someone does 2 rides on IndyVelo, 1 ride, whatever it is. But what's that actual process? But within Zwift, I think that is a very good sign that we are going to move in that direction. The only thing that will inhibit that is the trainers. My trainer now, after a firmware update, is reading 5% different than my Power 2 Max. Don't know which ones. They were 1% all up until August or September, whatever it was. Did a firmware update. So now my kicker is reading 5% higher. So my kicker is connected to the game. That's going to be kind of a challenge with the industry. And then also within I forget what website I was on today looking at the verified trainers. In the list that was linked was a Zwift Insider article from 2021. There's been a lot of updates and new trainers that have come out through then, and maybe some that are no longer allowed. So I think that's something that we need as a community.
Okay.
That verified list.
You touched on a bunch of things, so let's get into it. Because Lee, do you have anything to add to that, or you want to?
I was just going to say, like, the whole difference in dual power. I used to always my Stage's dual power was about 3% higher than my Wahoo kicker, and I mean, yeah. Toiling away in the seas, I used to always say that I would use my Stages for A races. If it was like the championships, I was using the Stages power to get that 3% extra.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the first thing you touched on is you don't want to name the person that was streaming and talking about this. Do you want to say who it is? A friend of the show, maybe? I don't know. Is he a friend of the show? We don't know. We're so new.
It's
All right.
I mean, I guess he said it out in stream, so it was Nathan Guerrero, so like he wasn't hiding it. It
Give
wasn't a
credit where
private.
credit is due. Yeah, give
Yeah.
credit where credit is due.
So yeah, I guess I was just kind of. So I know some
You're being
things.
tight to, yeah. You don't. He was. Hey, if he told you
Yeah.
on the side, then you got to worry about. But no,
Right. I guess that was in my mind. Some
Yeah, yeah.
conversations I've had. I haven't quite.
he shared it. Yeah, he shared it on stream, so it's
Yeah.
public facing.
Yeah,
If
so-
Nathan has an issue with this, we apologize. It wasn't something that we were just saying we're excited for. The thing you touched on is you went into Indie Velo. The other thing is, because I use my Whoosh and I did the verification for my Whoosh, they have dual recording natively.
Yes.
And they also have a Power Pro. It's called a Power Passport or a Power Profile. I believe that's what it is. It's either Power. I think it's Power Profile. They have a actual verification that you have to use this workout that's built into their game. That's the one they want, because then it goes into their servers and they have it, right? So the Zada or the whatever profile test or verification that they have for Zwift is, hey, we're going to send you a workout and you do this, and then I think it might be identified, like they make new ones for each athlete, so it's identifiable to like a user ID or something like that. I don't know why they would do a specific one. They just send out one to everyone, but I think they send you one, right? I don't do it because I'm not pro level and Zwift.
Yeah, I've seen a couple different versions. Now, it could have just changed to the years, progressed through the years. It used to be you did 3 sisters. So you had the 2-minute all out, the roughly 20-minute all out, and then the 8-minute effort. You know, you did the Hilly KOM, Epic KOM, and then the Volcano. So you had those efforts, essentially. That's what they were targeting. And if I remember correctly, it was pretty much you weren't slacking around. You were putting yourself out there for the test and hammering those things out and keeping a good pace between the efforts. And now I've seen a couple different people doing them on stream that it's been like a specific workout. So it might be evolved within Zwift.
Okay.
And I'm a long way away from getting to the 5.0 barrier, but that's, I haven't had to.
So it's a verification of the person and not the equipment, because you also were like talking about your Quark with the recent firmware updates. So it's like these verification tests are for the ones that I've done. So I've done them for Echelon Racing League, and I've done them for my Whoosh. Those are verifications for who you are. And I think it's also to kind of know your dual power. And when we talk about dual power, that's 2 power sources, people. That is 2 different things. It's not like you're recording 2 different workouts on the same trainer, or having 2 recordings of the same trainer or the same power meter or something like that. These are 2 separate devices that are running concurrently, and they're 2 separate fit files. If you have to record them, they are 2 different fit files. So like dual recording natively is 1 fit file with two things written inside of it. The Echelon Racing League, the Echelon Racing League is asking for it to be recorded on a secondary head unit, or a secondary way of, so you can use your phone or you can use a head unit like a Garmin or Wahoo Element, something like that.
Yeah. And like Indie Velo, they have their own, it's built in. You take their fit file, drop it in their own site called dualrecording.com. Boom, there it is. So it's super simple within that, but within Zwift, it's just a couple extra steps you got to do. Because in the My Whoosh, I went to look at it because I connected both power meters, kicker and power meter. Mm-hmm. And it said it was only one source within the fit file. So that must be recorded and kept on their side, like under my account. Because I overlooked it, but whenever I went to compare the files, because I was thinking it'd be the similar as Indie Velo's, but it wasn't. So that's something I was curious about too. But I only did 2 rides on my Whoosh and then I had surgery. So I don't know. I'll have to dig into more of that later.
Their power passport, power profile, there's eBio Passport, which was the sort of verification for last year's Echelon Racing League, also for the national championships. The power profile is, I think, a 10-second, 30-second, 2-minute, or 3-minute. It's either 2-minute or 3-minute, and then an 8-minute. And that's sort of what things are now. There's no like 20-minute test because that's just 12-minute, I think, is the most. So
yeah,
that's
last, well, I keep saying last year, 2023 Nationals, they didn't have a specific workout, but yeah, it was the same thing where they said you had to have a 15-second effort, a 1 minute, a 2 minute, 5 minute, and 12-minute effort in a 1 hour video. Now, someone in the community made a workout that was shared amongst everyone that people could compete. But yeah, I think gone are the days of, these 1 hour long videos of having to do these 20-minute efforts.
Yeah. So that leads into our Echelon Racing League, which starts next week. I reached out to Eric Hill from the Echelon Racing Promotions, and he got back to me about that they're working on verification. It should come out tomorrow, like the email that goes into that, right? Because in the race book and all the other stuff, I was curious because I was talking with Lee and Brian offline. It says verifications coming or in the national championships, but that's in January. There's 3 qualifier races, which are the 3 weekends before, right?
Yeah.
And previous years of Echelon Racing League, you'd have to do a power profile test, which is to prove who you are, but then also share that, do a weigh-in video where you record yourself weighing on the thing, and there's protocols for that. I didn't see that in the race book. Like, what is the protocol? And so I reached out to Eric. From what I understand, and I didn't really get into it. I just was asking about it, and he's like, "We're working on it." So they're still working on it. Hasn't been totally clarified yet. He did have me do fill out a form of giving all of my information, right? So now they're not working with the eBio passport sort of thing where you load all your stuff up and this is who I am. I believe they're working with Indy Velo, which is George and Bjorn, for verification, and they have their own sort of requirements. And then we were kind of speculating on, because they're gathering a lot of data from Zwift Power. I recommended to Eric to add this into the forum that he asked me to try out for him, was adding Strava. So link your Strava account. He asked me to link my road results, which is in a US-based thing that it goes along with, I think Canadian or North American at least, are a part of that. I don't know if you are a part of that, Lee. When Cycling Canada, when you guys finish a race in Canada, where do your results go? So ours goes to USA Cycling, the results are put there, and then those go to road results. So I said, there's people that don't race outside, so maybe if it's if applicable, you can do road results. But then he also asked me, you want to have a shared folder for your race verification videos? I think that's what it was. So you can share stuff so they can go and grab that stuff. This is kind of new territory, right? So let's say there's, I don't know how many people signed up, but they're not handling all this live stream video, looking at this video of you doing the power profile test. It's more of we have a catalog of all of your rides, and we kind of know who you are. If there's something that sticks out and we need to have more, we want to have more from you, so we're going to reach out to you. That's our speculation. We don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. I didn't ask Eric that. I just asked him what he was doing. They're still working on it. So from our speculation is the future of verification might be changing too.
Yeah, it's very new. It's very new. And I think it's kind of funny. You talk about MyWoosh, Zwift, and Indy Velo. It seems like they all have pieces of the puzzle. No one's got the full puzzle yet. And they all are doing slightly different things. And it's too bad, just for the sake of the sport, that someone could make a standardized esport verification saying no matter what program you're using, this is UCI standard. because it sounds like what IndieVelo is doing is good. Sounds like what My Whoosh is doing is cool with the built-in. It's got the workout. Everything goes in there. Zwift's got Zwift Power, which probably has, for esports, more information than any other place in the world as far as people's power profiles.
Yeah. I'm with you. I wish there was a protocol. I try to do my own when I would show people, hey, this is how I set up my eBio passport. This is how I do a weigh-in video. This is how I do a height video. I had to do a height video for My Whoosh, but previously I didn't have to do a height video. It's challenging. That's the thing. I think it's tough to do a protocol for the casual / leaning into the competitive, because I mean, racing with Lucas Verslois, Dr. Weebles in our community, in our streaming community, if people don't know, but Lucas is younger than I am and not very good technically. And so he would send me videos that were too much to send to when we were racing the Flanders Classics, which is the ones that put on the Tour of Flanders and a lot of those Belgian races in real life. But they also were doing esports, and they did races once a week on RGT during the early spring. He would send me the video. I would then export it and compress it down, but he was just doing it from his phone. And sometimes he would, record himself. Then he would, a lot of people don't record themselves. They don't show who themselves on the video. I'm not trying to call out Lucas, but I'm just saying that, like, I've seen a lot of weight verification videos. There's no rhyme or reason. There definitely needs to be like, this is best practices. It's more of like, you need to do it or it's wrong. Right.
And it's funny because as streamers, we are used to having the full setup. We're in front of the camera.
Yeah.
We got Zwift playing, and it seems super easy because I almost had the same thing. Like for me, I was like, oh, video verification, no problem. Uploaded the workout, jumped onto Zwift, turned the stream on, streamed myself doing the verification, recorded it, sent a link of the stream and the VOD to eBio Passport and went, here it is. Where I had a buddy that wanted to do nationals, and he's just like, I don't even know how to record. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, use my phone? But he's like, I can't capture the Zwift when I use my phone. And he ended up having to do it from like back here. So it caught him and the computer screen. But and I think for a lot of people, that's a huge hurdle.
It is. And that was
for us, it's no problem.
Yeah. Brian, you got anything? Or
Well, when I was on Coalition, that was when I was on the Platinum League time trials, we had to do all that, dual record and weigh in. It didn't go anywhere outside of that's Coalition wanted to make sure, since we were in that spotlight, to have that recording in. And some of the videos that were submitted were just like Lee said. I mean, they were hilarious. But like mine, it was I live streamed it. I mirrored my phone onto my stream, and so when I stepped on the scale, it showed it. So someone for us to streaming, it's relatively easy. But yeah, just like he said,
there were tons of people. Like when we had the pre-race meeting for Echelon for the national championships, there were people that had no idea what a power verification thing was, having to record it and all these things. That's the thing, is like, hey, maybe Echelon and IndieVelo have got a way to go, hey, this is sort of a middle ground to get data, to get the verification. And if we need to expand on it, we will reach out to you to get the verification off of it. Right.
I was just glancing through that. You're bringing up IndieVelo and that verification. I don't know if I missed this before over Reddit, but it said updated on the 17th of November that there will be a portal provided to the registrants at least 1 week before. So I don't know if that was always there or I just misread it before. So it must be, all right, you signed up, you're going to do this race here. This is what you got to go do.
Yeah, maybe that portal is because Eric actually, hey, can you try this out for me? And so maybe that's the portal. It's essentially like a Google form. That's what he had me do. It was Google form, and I filled it all out. Like, here's my name on Zwift Power. They have to match. Like, your name has to match. It can't be like whatever. So it's Brian Kellison, and then here's my Zwift. I think I remember. I just remember this off the top of my head, but it was like my Zwift Power profile, my road results. So if they wanted to see some results from my real life IRL racing, then it was a link to the verification, probably like a place where so like eBioPassport, you would have a thing that would link to a photo, like a screenshot of your serial number of your power meter, your trainer, your smart trainer, all these different things. That's maybe the portal that they're working on. Here's the thing you fill out. We race. If you're glaringly out of nowhere doing, like, what's the Eddie Houle,
Yeah. What was it?
Doing that
sort of kilogram for 3 minutes.
Yeah. So it's like, if you're like way out of the realm of like, hey, this is out of possibility of humanity, right? Then we'll reach out to you and we'll go, hey, we need some more stuff. But I think this is to help with the hurdle, to help with the, hey, you have to record this thing. You have to put your cell phone up. And like, a lot of people don't have, GoPros, and they don't have webcams, and they just don't have it. And I understand that. And you're just like, you have to make it so that it can get, the future of verification becomes less hurdles and more of like a helping hand, because even 2 power sources is a challenge, because a lot of people, they just have a trainer, they have a smart trainer, they don't have power pedals or power cranks or any of that stuff. So the understanding of who people are with one source might even be the future, right?
Yeah, RC brought up a good point about people riding outside. You know what I mean? Like, I maybe rode 1,000 miles out this year. Now, my last ride, I did 3 hours at a normalized power, 300 watts. So that would be a good, comparison. Oh, yeah, okay, he can do that. You know what I mean? But there's some guys that, I've looked at because they were running their mouth about dropping us in race. And you go and look at their Strava profile compared to the Zwift Power profile, and it's like, oh, wow. In 2020, they were a 2.6 watt per kilogram rider. Outdoor rides stop, and then 2 weeks later, they're God on Zwift, and they quit uploading. So those kind of things,
But even that's like people that are questionable because they're shady. There's people that like RC's bringing up the thing from someone in our chat. Thanks for the question too, or comment. People might not go outside, or they don't ever go outside. Like Christian Kolshinsky was like just a Zwift person and became very, very good. And then she started riding outside. But, there are people out there that don't know they're doing it in a different way. They're just like, hey, I bought this thing. I went to I just wanted to get something different than Peloton or what it was. Yeah. And I'm on this thing, and this is what I do. And it's like, I didn't know there was calibration. I didn't know there was this. I didn't know this. And it's not, ignorance is bliss to a certain extent. But there's also like, you can't. Yeah, go ahead.
Isn't that how Dr. Weebles, like, he was basically just running. COVID happened. He bought a trainer, and next thing you know, he's
okay. Yeah.
I think it was Weebles. It was the same thing. He had no idea he was like, top tier.
Yeah,
rider.
I just set up my neighbor with a speed sensor. So I logged in on my account, and I actually saw Carissa, who writes for a friend of the show, hopefully. I was like, hey, I'll just ride with. I'm like showing my buddy. I'm like, oh, ride with a Zwifter, or ride with friends, essentially. And I'm like, oh, I'll click on her, and then I was on his little old 9-speed Specialized with the speed sensor. I let him borrow my speed sensor, and I'm like, this is how you do Zwift, and get on here and you can ride with somebody. And then I was like, just doing a speed sensor thing. Now, if I would have saved those rides, it's like, oh, he's speed sensor guy. It was whatever Zwift. It's a Z power, right? It was Z powering my speed on a wheel on trainer, or like a resistance, like wheels on and the little resistance in the back. I can't remember what those trainers are called. Not a smart trainer. And he's like, I just want to jump in and have a good time. That's the thing, is where you're like, oh, now to be competitive and to be validated, you have to have $1,000 or now it's $600 trainer.
Yeah. Well, it depends on which model you get. There's cheaper ones.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm going by the new reduction in price for the Kicker Core, and then there's also
the Core.
Yeah, the Kicker Core. Right. So like, I just got an email or the message from a teammate who wanted to race the Echelon, and he wants to do the national championships, and he's got a Kicker Snap. And so I have my old Kicker V5, and I'm going to try to say, hey, I'll let you use this for what you want to be doing. You want to be racing with me, because he was excited, like, hey, I'm going to race, and now his Kicker Snap is not valid. So I got to find a way to get my teammate into the competition.
Well, I think with the benchmark now being set at 2% accuracy, that needs to be advertised more for people purchasing trainers.
Yeah.
Because if it's like, hey, if you ever want to think about doing nationals, here's the trainers that are allowed.
Man, Brian has the dog from Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
Totally
Little Remy here. He's the other male in the house. So we're buddies.
Friend of the show. There we go. All right. Any more things about verification? And this was kind of a spot to just talk about the future of like Zwift having dual verification, singular verification, the opt-in of Zwift Power, even, like people like, oh, I have all this data in Zwift, but it's not even, I never opt into Zwift Power. So how do I verify all this stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're talking about that guy with the speed sensor in your account. When I first started riding rollers, I just got on, clicked rollers, and off I went with the speed sensor there for a while before I had a power meter. And it was an old laptop. Well, that Zwift Power numbers were stuck on that laptop. Well, because I did some races for 3 or 4 months or whatever before I got the power meter. So now that stupid Zwift Power data from the first 3 months of riding with the rollers and speed sensor, that's locked in. Like, I can't get rid of it because it has my, I forget what numbers it is, but it's like well beyond what I've ever done. But it's because I was just getting on, doing my thing. Yeah. And
people shouldn't be penalized for that. Yeah. I think that's the problem, is like, as much as there should be disclosure and verification of these things, you shouldn't be penalized for just being new and don't know, Yeah.
And that's the thing. I was racing with another team. It was actually Vision, Nathan Guerrera's team. And we had a guy. It was an older guy, and he was really good. We did several races together and, series and whatever. He bought a new trainer, and it was more accurate, or I can't remember if it was a wheel on or not, but yeah, he went from a high level B down to a mid level C just because of the trainer. You know what I mean? And we were having fun racing together. Next thing you know, his trainer was more accurate, and I was like, oh man, I'm not nowhere near what I thought I was. And those things happen. It was nothing against the guy. It was just,
yeah. That even spills into the initial reaction for most, let's say, veteran Zwift people that ride frequently and have been doing it for years, is if somebody's out of the norm, that's going off the front and just doing certain things, they're immediately cheating. And that mentality needs to stop. It's like, hey, there's some that are, just blatantly there all the time. But then there's people that are like just showing up. Like, I mean, if we get an influx of new people because of the holidays and people want to do this sort of thing, and there's no, you can't just flame out on people. That's just my opinion on that.
Is this based on the last 4 races you've done, BK, of your comment section in Zwift chat? Just because you can go off the front doesn't mean you're cheating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know.
But Taco had a good point too in chat there. Like, there's still people who don't even know what Zwift Power is. At what point, when these racing organizers are saying you have to use Zwift Power, at what point does Zwift Power get combined into Zwift?
Yeah.
Like, where you don't have, there isn't a zwiftpower.com. You go to zwift.com and all Zwift Power info is on zwift.com for results.
I know.
Everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy that it's still separated.
And it's still, I said this on my stream a couple weeks ago, is you have racers that are not opted in, but they're in the race. They are I'm in their draft. They're in my draft. They're in a breakaway with me or whatever it is. And they finish the race and they're first or second or third or 15th or 100th. But then they don't show up in the results. No, they did show up in the results, the Zwift.com results, but everyone goes back to Zwift Power because that's sort of the industry standard for results. And it's like, no, that's not the results.
Like RC was saying, I think it was RC or Taco. There's a split, I think, between I'd say 2020 and previous Zwifters whose Zwift Power was it. You know, that's where he went to. And then once Zwift updated and started including results in the app, in the Zwift Companion app, so that may be where, you know, people are oblivious to it. Oh, hey, that's where I finished. I look at Zwift Companion.
Yeah.
And they don't even realize that Zwift never had results within Zwift's ecosystem. It was always Zwift Power. So that could be a splitting point between whenever it got updated to be in the app.
They always had results though, right? Didn't they have results?
I don't think they did.
No, it was 2020.
No, they flashed the results on the screen as you finished, and then you could never get those or find where those were.
They weren't on your profile?
No.
That's why Zwift Power came about.
No way, really? Oh wow.
Yeah, I may be wrong with 2020, but it was several years into Zwift's life before it became a thing on the app.
Hold on.
But yeah, I don't even remember. I think the moment you sign up for Zwift, like, there shouldn't be an opt-in to Zwift Power. Zwift Power is, as far as I understand, is owned by Zwift now, or has been taken over by Zwift. Yeah. So you sign up for Zwift, you agree to the terms of service, it's Zwift Power. Like, you're in it. There should be no more opting in or anything like that.
Live recording.
Did you get your wife her $20?
Yeah, $20. There's the local, the football team. The kids are walking around for donations for raising funds for their football team. Whatever. That's what she needed. She needed $20.
Selling cookies.
Yeah, like selling cookies or coupon. I don't know what it is. So we're good. Okay. She's like, I'm sorry to bother. I know, it's all right.
It's looking like mid 2020 if I'm quickly Googling, and this is off Zwift forums. So sometime in 2020 it appears. I could be wrong, but that's just quickly looking.
That's not long ago. That is not long ago.
So that's the reason. That's the origin of Zwift Power.
Yeah. So here's January 2021. It was in game, but it's looking like in August. Here, they're not even mentioning in the app. They're all saying go to Zwift Power on the forums.
Is it because it was too difficult to find it on Zwift.com? Or is it just didn't exist?
It was just within the app there for a while, and it wasn't out of the website for a little bit.
So you could go back and look at your old rides. You can't. I don't think you can. Can you go back and look at your old rides in the game?
Not in the game. It was just on the companion app. The companion app. You can
go on Zwift.com and go back in time.
Yeah.
Not very far though.
All right.
Because I tried to find my very first Zwift ride, and Zwift.com does not go far enough back. It only goes back like a couple years. I had to go use Strava.
I wouldn't even want to look for that. That would take forever to scroll. Have you ever done that? I had to go and purge on Strava.
I did. I spent 10 minutes hitting next because it only shows you 10 activities on the screen. So it was like next. And it got back to like 2019 and then that was it. So then I just went to Strava and was like Zwift. And it was like I found my very first Zwift ride in 20 seconds. So that's another thing to add to the Zwift list is like their user interface, is horrible and no one's ever going to want to use it to like find info about their rides.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about my Whoosh, because the 2 rides I've done, they are locked in, you know what I mean? You have to download them from the site. They're in some weird name. So it's like, with as rough as Zwift is, they do have where you can go find it. But like my Whoosh, the only thing I have is I have to download it, then upload it to Strava because I don't have it linked right now to anything.
RGT had a pretty good.
Yeah, everything is saved in the system, like on the Wahoo app.
Yeah.
It's all there, even though I didn't upload it anywhere. It's all in the Wahoo app, so that was kind of neat, which I didn't realize for a while.
Yeah, so if anyone that's formerly a RGT user, all your stuff is saved in Wahoo system now, or it always has been. It could always upload it to that. So but their website was good. Like they didn't have a good website, I think, until 2022 or 2021, maybe like November when they went to the One app. When they went to the One app, they actually introduced the web interface, which was the RGT user, and they had all the Zwift Power stuff, not all of it, but essentially a Zwift Power line of, okay, here's your average power, here's your 20-minute, here's the segments, like they had segment breakdowns and all these different things. It was built in to RGT, and it was like, oh, this is cool. This is really nice. But
it was nice.
It was nice. Yeah, RGT had some good stuff, man.
I feel like every time we mention RGT, we need to like pour a beer on the floor or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, is it raining?
I just want to play the loser sound from like Price is Right.
Yeah.
Like no whammies, big bucks. Yeah. Okay. We got like 20 minutes left. Let's do some Echelon Racing League talk, and then maybe we can finish this thing up. So we started the show with the verification for Echelon Racing League, but the Echelon Racing League starts Saturday, right? Next Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday the 2nd.
Saturday the 2nd, race 1, which is
here we go.
Which is here it is, the Bell Lap. Yeah, I got my printout here.
Ooh, 20 laps. Yee.
Yeah, 20. That's 20. That's good. Well, you guys don't do 20 lap races?
Our crits used to be about an hour, so I don't know how long the Bell Lap circuit is, but we used to do about 40K.
Okay. Well, this is 1.9, so this is like 2 minutes. So this is like 40K. 1.9K duration, 20 laps. All right, 1.9 times 20. 2 times it's 40K. Yeah, right. My math is all right. Let me get the calculator out. Total distance 38. Actually, in the third column, it says total distance 38 kilometers. Okay, but it is a crit. Race number 1 crit. Yeah.
What we should point out though is there is only 3 races before nationals, and if you plan on racing nationals, you have to race in at least one of those 3.
That's correct.
For some reason I thought there was 4, but looking at this chart here, there's 3.
I don't think there's a race over so there's a break. It's only 3 of the 4 weeks in December because the Christmas weekend. So
your best bet is to probably actually race the crit, because it's probably the easiest of the 3 races, because who the heck wants to do Innsbruck after party?
Oh yeah.
Like no one wants to do that.
Yeah.
It's like the leg snapper and then up that stupid hill at the end.
It's 3 leg snappers.
Yeah. And then the hill.
And then the hill. I've done that. I did that in a ZRL. Yeah.
ZRL did that. And it was like, they did that, I think, on like the first or second race, because it basically made everyone do a 20-minute FTP test.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then half the people got kicked out of like the division because they all went over.
Yeah.
So I am racing it Are you guys racing it?
It's
Probably not. I didn't sign up.
Yeah.
Actually, Brian, before we went live, Brian was saying that the link to sign up is broken, that you can't sign up
No.
anymore.
well, yeah. It was on the USA Esports. You click on register, and it says register opens, and it must be for the actual championship. Now, if you're on Echelon's site, when you click on register, it will take you to the site with the people registered. So it's
Oh, okay.
yeah. So on Echelon, to do these 3 races, you sign up. But there's also, that's which kind of confused me a little bit, and we were talking about it beforehand. There are 6 or 7 people not from the United States that have paid and signed up. So that made me think there was prizes involved. But I don't see anywhere there's anything for prizes. It's just, to do this, you have to qualify, pay the $25, qualify, and then you can do the national championship. So these 6 or 7 non-United States residents, and maybe some of them are, they just have a different country listed. But I know like James Barn, he's in New Zealand, he signed up. So I don't
There's
know.
pro teams that sign up because the Echelon. So this is the thing for people that are not familiar with Echelon Racing League. I believe it was created in the pandemic year 2020, and they did it early on, and they brought it back. From what we should probably have, maybe we can get Eric Hill on one of these days. But from other podcasts, other shows he's been on, it was and Frank, his partner. They had their outside team. They had a bunch of athletes. This is the pandemic hit, shut everything down, races canceled, everything. They had a bunch of athletes that were super fit, and everyone's like scrambling to get something going. And they were like, hey, let's do something. And I think they did something with Zwift. And then later on in the last part of 2020, like December of 2020, they did, I could be totally making that first part up, but they did do a Echelon Racing League A and B race on RGT in December of 2020. I remember doing it. That was my first time ever doing RGT, and that's where my favorite moment from doing a virtual race is the concertina effect in one of the Echelon Racing League crits. Then they did it in 2022. I did that, and then they're doing it now in 2023. So 2022 was started in November, went all the way to like February, had a big break, I think, in December. So it was like most of November, some of December, and then January picked up, and it replicated real races, real race courses. So like the races that happen, like Tour of American Dairyland, the Joe Martin stage race, Tour of a Gila, all these different races that were real races. They would take those magic roads and do these races. There was verification. There were pro teams. There were pro riders. There was prize money, right? Mm-hmm. There were prizes and prize money. And that's why it was entry fee, part of the prize pool. Mm. Now we're doing it on Zwift, but there's still an entry fee for the whole series. And a lot of people are and we are, because we're focusing on the national championship, because I'm obviously going to compete again. And it's on Zwift. So there's a lot of people that like, I didn't want to do RGT. I didn't like RGT, blah, blah, blah. Now it's on Zwift. There's an entry fee. You have to do one of the races. You don't have to do the Echelon Racing League, but you have to do at least one, like Lee brought up, to qualify to then choose to do the race in January. January 6th, I believe, is the amateur, and then the elite and under 23 is the next day, 7th.
Yeah.
You have to do one of the races to qualify to jump through to jump the hoops to get into nationals.
Yeah. So you have three dates to do that. If you can't make any of those dates, I don't think you can do this part of the prerequisites, right?
Yeah.
You have to do it.
Yeah. And I think once if I'm reading this right, within the USA Cycling, basically once you do one of those races, then you're in the pool to get to use Indivelo to do your performance verification.
Yeah, and that was my question to Eric Hill from Echelon Racing League, and you know, my question was, hey, what's the protocol for verification for Echelon Racing League? Not USA Cycling, not the national championship. This is just, hey, do you guys need verification before we do the first race, which is next Saturday? Do I have to do it in Indivelo? Do I have to do it in Zwift? Or is it in my choice? You know, can I do it in my Whoosh? Can I do it in Ruvi? Can I do it wherever I want if I just do the thing we just talked about? So they're still working on it. But the cool thing about this is it's pro teams or my team. I'm going to race as Penn Velo, right? Now I raced as a privateer last year, but I'm actually going to race as Penn Velo because it was registered through my team. I'm going to try to get other people that are going to race with me if they want to. But the main reason is to just do the national championships. That's the thing. But I'm going to because I did enjoy Echelon Racing League last year, and I enjoyed it the year before. And so that's the reason why I'm doing it. And I think it's going to be a mixture of different racing skills. That's the thing, is it's a crit at the first one, and it's points based, right? Is that what it is? Verification. And we can touch on the verification. I have the thing here. Code of conduct, equipment requirements. We can go on the equipment requirements, but the series points breakdown, that's what it is. It's the series points breakdown. And Lucas was one of the top riders, so he raced all of them, and he competed and won a bunch of them. Series points breakdown. So
yeah,
where is it? I have it here.
Yeah, position 1's 200 points.
Yep.
And then it drops down to 190, 180, 175, and then it goes down from there.
Yeah. So 1 through 30 places points, right? And points are weighed different ways for each race. Yes.
I'm reading through here.
Yeah.
It's given points like.
I printed out the race book from the website. So if you go to echelonracingleague.com.
It gives points clear up to like 99.
Oh, is that what it is? Yeah. So it's that's similar sort of Zwift Racing League or just a regular like placing points. They might do segment points as well. Preems, they might have preems where it's like, hey, this is a hot lap, and you're like, that's a new graphic. I haven't seen that thing yet.
I'm curious too. What day of the week are these races?
Saturday mornings.
On Saturdays, okay.
Yep, Saturday.
Because that'd be interesting with Swift Racing League, but it's on. It's far enough away from Tuesday that everyone's going to show up to these. Well, yeah. In theory.
Race 1 is women starts at 11. I think these are Eastern. Yeah, Eastern Standard Time. And the men's are 11:45. Race 2, 11:45. So they're all so women. No, race 1. It's a flip flop because I think of broadcasting. So Zwift Community Live is the broadcaster this year, which is new for the year, which is Nathan's broadcast. They're doing women first. So 11 a.m. they're going to do so they'll be on the broadcast, and then the following week. So the next race 2. The men would start first at 11 a.m. Eastern, right? So for me, it's an 8 o'clock race. So I got to get up at 7, wake up, eat, or 6, which is normal for me.
Timing.
It's a great time. Yeah, it's early in the morning enough to where it's not too early, like my Whoosh race I've done before. It's insane.
Like those Suarez E-Fondo.
Yeah, the E-Fondos.
They were like 6 a.m. or something.
Yeah, some
like
of them were. Yeah, some of them were 6 a.m.
That timing for the East Coast for me, it's not very good. 11 a.m. or noon is or quarter till, because for me, if I'm off on the weekend, I'll typically get up at early ride and be done. That had the day with the family, unless I'm on afternoon shift, is about the only time that I'll ride at that point in the day. So that kind of, for me, it's inconvenient time. But if I was serious and I'm going to compete in nationals, I would make one of those days work.
Yeah,
But just as far as during the race, I'm sure that it'll be well attended, because if I just want to do a race, let's say I get back to riding, at the end of the month, I can just hop in. I don't have to sign up and register. Is that correct?
And do you even need to finish the race? Can you just sign up, go in the race, and DNF? Does that count for qualifying? That would be a good question.
That's a good question. Don't know.
Yeah. I don't want to say you have to finish.
I would say you have to finish.
Yeah,
pedal with
You
your
have to get placing. Yeah.
pedal with your hands. Just finish that.
DNP. I think it's DNP does not count. DNS does not count. Like did not place and did not start. Right.
Yeah.
So I think the reason why it's 11 is that's still reasonable for UTC riders or somebody off of, because this is open to everybody, right?
Yeah, because that would be like their evening time for.
Yeah, they're going to get an evening race. I don't know what it's going to do to Australia and New Zealand. They're probably going to lose their minds. Like James is probably going to have to wake up at 4 a.m. like he normally does. He's going to have to do he might have to do a my whoosh thing and get his wheat bix in. Even though he doesn't really like wheat bix. That's Australia. But
11 a.m. Sunday Eastern time is 3 a.m. Monday for Australia.
Oof.
That's fun.
Yeah. So that's tough for him. But so think about it for like a regular race. At least in Northern California and Nevada, where I am, our district, right? Most of our races are 8 o'clock starts. If it's the pros, or P1-2 races, pros 1 and 2s, where we have the longer distance, we're usually the first ones off the line because we finished last. Then you have the riders from like 3, 4, then women, then masters and so on and so forth. They all roll out within like 10, 15 minutes of each other. If it was like a pro race for like the World Tour, those are like 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock starts. Those are like late in the afternoon because they like finish around 5. They do like a 5. That's why it's like the lights are on when they're finishing, because they're doing like 5-hour races, 6-hour races, so they might start at 11. It's easier on the body to kind of wake up if you're having to like drive, commute, get ready to warm up, get ready to race at 8 o'clock. I sometimes have to leave at like 4 o'clock in the morning in some places. So if I could do it at 11, yeah, I know. Hey, that's outside racing these days. For you, Brian, the inconvenience is the convenience for competitiveness, right? Yeah. So like, I'd have to do all these, where it's like, hey, my body doesn't really wake up, and I'm like starting to ride and race at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, getting ready to start. So for me, it's 8 o'clock. For you, it seems more difficult, but you would want to do it earlier. But like for me, like if you do it earlier, that makes it earlier for me. Then I would be doing like the James Barnes thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I understand the timing aspect of it. It's just within my normal routine. Now, but that being said, I feel a lot of people on Saturday morning be like, hey, 11 o'clock, I'm going to race. And, that's what they do, as long as they're not going out and doing something with their family that day.
I have a whole crew of people that ride Saturday morning at 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. Me, I'm like, I want to be off the bike by 9.
Yeah.
Not, 10 o'clock starting my Zwift ride.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the few outdoor rides I do, I'll go out at 6, ride for an hour and a half or whatever, meet up with them, and then do their, Then I head back to the house. But yeah, when I'm off, I don't like starting later in the day, unless there's something in the evening that I know I'm going to have time to do or whatever it is, or there's something I want to do. I know on Saturdays during COVID, they had that endurance racing series that was all longer, 60 km or longer. That was excellent. I did do that. I made sure I was there because that was such a fun series. That was peak COVID.
All right. I want to get into the actual racing, and we're talking about the preview. I just looked on that. Have you seen who's registered? So there's 61. So there's multiple categories.
Yeah.
Zwift categories, right? So A's, B's, C's, whatever. It is $25 for the series. There's like 13 next racers, so they're probably registering everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's also Project Echelon Racing, which is Eric Hill. I don't know if Zach Nair is racing with them, or is he? Because he's racing with Project Echelon. That's the weird thing is Zach is actually on Next and races with Next along Next presented by Insured with a lot of races. He races a lot with them, but he's actually racing with Echelon Race or Project Echelon Racing, which is his outdoor team. So now, and he did that last year with the Echelon Racing League last year. Then there's currently 5 Restart presented by Alex Coe, Dean Cunningham, our friend of the show. Who else? There's a couple Sarah's No Pins, and then Velocio, 2 Velocios, Triple X and ZDR, and some of these other top teams. Landis Trek. There's the one coalition rider, but that's the Cat A teams, the elites, right? So, who do you think who's the hot favorite right now to kind of like pull away from this? Let's do a prediction of like, hey, let's get predictions in.
With Next, with the amount of people they have in there, I definitely say that they're going to do very well within this. Now, some of these names I don't recognize.
Yeah, that's a good thing. We're trying to get the word out, trying to get people to get excited for these people. Right?
Yeah,
well, especially with Zwift's new pack dynamics, it lends more to team racing,
and that's what I wanted to bring up. Yeah, it does lead to that, and that's different. That's more or less not what RGT was doing last year, but I think it was similar to. There was some team tactics, because last year there was a race. I think it was one of the stage races, and Lucas and Kevin Bouchard Hall were on Restart. Lucas went way early and was way off the front, and that just let Kevin Bouchard Hall sit in and make the other people work, right, to then bring him back for the final climb. So there's some of that team tactics stuff. It wasn't as prevalent this last Echelon Racing League because some of the teams sort of tapered away, but this is now Zwift, so it's more popular, more people are doing it, and the pack dynamics have changed. So I really enjoy watching Zach Nair race, and he's racing against his team, a bunch of his teammates from his other team, right? So he has a multiple amount of teams. Who is the other one? The current U.S. national champion, Scott Cannizzaro, is very strong. He's probably coming into his form. And Brian Duffy, he's on here. Yeah, Brian Duffy. And then who else? One more person that I was looking at, which was James Barnes, Auckland, New Zealand, of course. Those are 4 people really. With who else is there? What was the other one? That was it. I can remember.
I'm curious about the Liddell Truck guy. Is that like an actual pro rider, or Landis Truck? Sorry, or is he like a Continental Pro guy? Or
probably, yeah, there might be.
But wait a second. Actually, I'm looking at the name now. That's Ian Mulligan. So
Ian Mulligan.
Yeah, I've raced with Ian a decent amount. So yeah, he's definitely a top level guy. And I know he has the UCI license, because we were talking about him and a couple of the guys.
I have a UCI license.
Yeah, see, look at you.
It's
You're
free.
a legend.
You have a
okay.
you have a cycling license, and then you just ask for a number, and you get a number.
Well,
But I don't
okay.
race internationally. I've never raced internationally. But if I had to get it for the national championships.
I had no idea about that. I thought you had to be, qualify, get so far, and then get it. So there was my ignorance about elite outside racing.
Hey, see, you're not your ignorance is bliss. There you go.
I could sign up Cat 5. Hey, I got a UCI license, guys.
Yeah. What about Karsten Ivany from Chilliwack, BC? Giant Vancouver rider. How about that guy? A dark horse. That's our dark horse. Got to vote for him. So I'm racing the bees because that's what I am right now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's what unless it changed. Let's look. Did I get my 90 days data? I don't know. I haven't looked this up. We're gonna wrap this up. We're over.
Thanks,
I'm
man.
talking too much. I gotta log in.
Good amount of people though.
It is good. It's grown a lot. I think it's getting more and more popular. Still a B.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if I can get down to a C with my time off, and then I know I'm not going to be doing any effort for a while. Well, I can't imagine.
I haven't raced for a very long time, and I'm a solid D right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the hope. Is there's no more performance categories. It's just race results categories.
Is the hope.
That's the hope.
I enjoy the mass start events, whether it's like I know 3R is typically on Zwift mass start. Indivelo was mass, or not Indivelo, but RGT. You get on, you race. Don't matter what. You know what I mean? The category is irrelevant because if Brian and I show up at a race somewhere, let's say it's a gravel race. I have no idea. He has no idea about me. He's stronger than me, but I'm still going to race against him, and I'm going to do everything I can to stay in his group. That's racing to me. Just like, your local group ride. You kind of know who, if someone new shows up, you're like, oh, I don't know, but I'm going to ride in these sections of the course that we're riding that are, we designate as the, the segments, and hey, we'll regroup after this. You're racing. It's like, that's part of the fun. So I prefer the mass start. Sometimes I can hang on to the A's, especially flat courses, and then just kind of get a chill draft to the end. But it's the same thing with racing outside. Sometimes you just get the draft, and then you might make a selection, you might not. So that's something
like having watts per kilogram classes strictly for group rides, just so you can seed yourself into a group ride that you want to. But I can't wait till they get rid of classes and just have points. You win, you move up,
and that's something
you move down.
I think James Bailey I can't remember if it was Facebook or the forums, he said that's coming at the turn of the year, roughly turn of the year.
Well, that's how it is outside. Like you do good, you move from Cat 4 to Cat 3.
Yeah, if my fitness leaves me and I show up to a race, I'm racing in the Cat 2s. I don't get to go back down to 4 because my fitness isn't there. It's like, dude. It's like, come on.
And I know the Zwift racing app ranking system. Casey and I were doing the chasing tour together in the spring. Casey and I would kind of like finish right close to each other. Casey did a few more races through the week than I did, but in the bigger races that scored excellent within the Zwift Power rankings, Casey and I, we would finish very similar in these races, even when we raced together. My ranking would drop and his was raised up. Very bizarre. We are within a spot or two. I might be ahead of him a spot, might be behind him a spot or two. But it was weird. I drifted down and he drifted up. It was kind of bizarre. So I don't know what I was.
Explain it. Why was it weird? Or is it just like because he was finishing at a higher placing and he just was moving up, and you were finishing lower and you were moving down?
I could never find out an actual answer. I never dug into it.
Okay.
Because the only thing that I was doing that involved the Zwift Racing app was that chasing tour. So, and it was weird too because you got locked in, like at the B cat or whatever they used as gold. You were locked in after 3 races. So if you moved up, like if say Brian, you came back, you were on that app, you were gold.
Oh, I don't even know what I'm on that app. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
you were locked in there after 3 races. So after a few races, you were like back to your high level A status. You were still in B in that chasing series, and you would just walk away with everything. So it was kind of bizarre how they did that, but
All right,
yeah,
we can
I
look at
don't
it
understand
here.
some of that.
How do you see yourself? Profile, right?
It's been since probably June, the last chasing tour race that I did. I haven't even been to that to
I'm
look.
1797. What does that mean? VELO rating. Current 1797, 1871, 1894.
Sign in.
Phenotype. Power. Well, there's a bunch of new stuff.
Yeah, I haven't been on it since June.
Ranking points. I have ranking points here.
Let's see.
718. Okay, so
My profile.
how do you see the little? I'm category 3, emerald. What does that mean?
Yeah, I'm Emerald as well. And what did you say your thing was?
1797. That's my ranking. Rating. Sorry, rating.
16. I'm 1698.
Is higher better? Lower? I don't know what's better.
I think higher is better. Because Casey got up to like 1900 something, and I actually got down into like 1500s. I almost got demoted. Whatever that cutoff line is, I was right at the cutoff.
I've gone up and then I've lost points because I'm losing.
Yeah, so in September I was up at 1800, and then I'm down to 1700. So I lost 100 points.
We should do this
September.
next week. We should do this next week. Swift Racing app, unless it's already been done. But
I don't know anything about. I am not even sure what it's used for in Zwift anymore.
I think it's just the Zwift
Well, I think
power.
it's like a third party.
It's just
someone else started this.
It's the we want this thing from. It's like Indie Velo for actually making the game. It's like we want something from Zwift and they're not giving it to us, so we're going to make it ourselves.
And it's basically, from what I understand, it's based on a ladder system for points.
Yeah, it's like
same as what Zwift.
chess.com. Yeah, it's like the chess.com thing.
So what happens is I think the reason why Casey was drifting up was if he did a race that had a higher level of competition and did slightly better, he would get more weighted points than you were.
Okay, if that's the way, then that's probably it, because he would do those midday European races, and those European boys are much better overall than the American East guys.
Okay. Yeah,
so that's probably why he climbed up, and I actually dropped a little bit.
Oh, results.
That would make sense.
Okay. Oh yeah, this is a cool deep dive. Okay, so now
got better relative to his ranking.
Yeah, let's wrap up on this. But I didn't do a lot of the Zwift Racing app because I was in RGT so much.
Oh yeah.
That now that I'm in Zwift so much, it's like it's valuable for me, right? All right, let's wrap it. We went over, but we can go over a little bit. It's our show, right? On that note, play the music. There we go. No music yet. We're still getting theme music. We're getting logos. We're getting icons. We're like the branded show. It's an amazing show, everyone. It's amazing.
Amazing.
Thank you to my co-hosts. Lisa Vries taking a poll off of some IPA, probably. I don't know what that is.
No, actually,
Mr. Pibb.
Bubbly water.
Bubbly. Okay.
Michael Bublé water.
Yeah, something from Canada. And Brian.
Is that a Canadian thing?
No, just
you're in Canada. Don't have bubbly water?
We have bubbly. I have it in my refrigerator. Brian White with the knee scar.
Oh yeah, 11-inch knee scar, babe.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
There you go.
Gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Is there any quick little questions, comments anybody has they want to add? Anybody grab anything? Lee, you grab anything from that? I didn't. You know me. I talk to everybody without looking at anybody. Let's see here. It is amazing, RC. Thank you so much. The fracture races the cat's good. Okay. You know what? No callers. Let's get out of here. Next week, have your questions ready to go, because I think we're going to do some questions, some Q&A. next week. We can touch on some other things, but I think the
I
Zwift
think we should go
racing
through
app-
the. I think that would be awesome. Awesome
I think
topic.
I think we should do that. Let's. I know Brian has plenty of time to race. We'll see where we. We'll see where we are. I'll do some racing this week. I'm trying to do the park perimeter loop races.
Well, and I think we
we're
could
just
have a
gonna-
recap of your race on Saturday.
Very
The
true.
first Echelon race.
Echelon race. Yes.
Yeah,
We can do that.
that'd be good.
And then if there's any questions and stuff like that, hit us up on socials, even though we don't have any socials. I just say that because everyone else says it. Like and subscribe. Don't do that. Don't like us. Don't subscribe.
Spincast1@gmail.com.
That is not it. Are you serious? That's not our email.
It totally is. The spincast1@gmail.com.
No, don't email. Nobody email that.
You got
Nobody
the
email that.
numbers. Oh,
Nobody
that's
email that.
awesome.
No, because the Spincast was taken, so it has to be the Spincast1.
Yeah, I probably
gmail.com.
have the Spincast. I probably already have the email.
Oh, I should have used that. Well, that's our email address.
I'll transit. Do not email the Spincast number 1. If you
No, it's
do
not number
anything,
one, just
if you do
Spincast1.
anything, email the Spincast number 9 at
Yeah.
gmail.com. Spincast number 9. That goes directly to Brian. He's reading all the emails because he's sitting on a bed doing nothing right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been an absolute. I'm going nuts just by sitting around, but I really can't do anything. So it's just such a different past.
Do
10
not
days.
email that.
10
I saw
days.
you posted that, Lee. Don't put that email. Don't send
Monitor that
questions in there.
email.
Don't send questions in
signed up
there.
for
I do not-
everything.
I'm not answering any questions from number 1, Spincast number 1. The real Spincast. That's what I wanted. Not the fake
it's out there.
Spincast.
It's on our
Oh my
YouTube
God. Let's wrap
page.
this
It's
up.
on our Twitch
now
page.
really play the music. Really play the music. Now you've got me bent out of shape. The Spincast
that's
1.
awesome.
Lee, we're going to talk offline. I think I actually have the Spincast at gmail.com.
Oh, we can transfer it.
I'll
Good
get you
night,
guys
everyone.
I'll get you. Yeah, we'll set up a business account for you. Okay. On that note, you guys have a great rest of your Sunday, and we'll catch up. Obviously, we'll be talking immediately after this podcast with more content and more topics. But thanks to all our viewers and our listeners and everyone hanging out, and especially to Felty and his family.
Definitely.
New baby, right on. Just right on. A right on, not a ride on. That's Swift's. And who else? I'm saying right on, like I'm from Southern California because that's where I'm from originally. Stop rambling. Goodbye.
Yeah, stop talking.
Bye.
See you guys.